Hello everyone, welcome to our latest live stream. I hope you're all doing well. Please introduce yourself in the comments. It'd be great to know who is here. We've got quite a lot to cover today, pre the football. So this is definitely going to be a definite 29-minute podcast. Hi Hayden, how are you doing? I know there are 4 or 5 of you who are in the wings there somewhere. Hi pre-live chat. Yes, so. Yes, it is good to be here. It was good not to get wet on the way home from work. That was a very nice thing. Oh, Dom, hi. How are you doing? Thanks for coming along. Right, we're doing paper 2 stuff today. So we're going to look at casting. We're going to look at selection. We're going to look at iteration, and we're going to look at procedures. It's possibly a little bit adventurous for me to think I can get through all of these today, and whatever I don't get through today, I'll do next week. And if need be, put on another one before we get started. Right, so casting, selection, iteration and procedures. These are all areas that you're going to need for your mock and of course for the real thing as well. So let's have a look at those and see how we can get started. Let's have a bit of a quiz first of all. Let's see how we can do with this. What's the answer here? MAC addresses, A, B or C. What do we think? MAC addresses. Change each time you connect to a network? Can be changed, cannot be changed. Are we A, are we B, or are we C? Ooh, I can see we have got, I can see that Dom has already come in with the answer there straight away, which is C. That's outstanding. So let's just give you, and that is the same for you, Hayden. That is outstanding. Right, let's push straight on then, shall we? Seeing as that was so successful. What about this one? IP addresses. Where are we with IP addresses? I'm having a sneaky look because the YouTube feed comes through much faster. Do they deal with the format using TCP, LANs, or TCP/IP? What do we think? A, B, or C? Hello, Luca. How you doing? Thanks for coming along. So Hayden, we've got Dom who's come in with C. Dom, you are absolutely on fire here. It absolutely is C. Hi, Sanuka. How you doing? Just getting the crowd warmed up till you got here. Yusuf, how you doing? Good to see you. So this one, Dom was absolutely spot on. It indeed is C. I'm just doing a quick recap. Haroon, how you doing? Thanks for coming. Ziggy, how's it going? Well done for coming. Brilliant to see you. Well, not to see you. Brilliant that you're here. So Hayden, you're spot on. It is C. So that is that one. Let's push on and get a couple more done while we can. Abdel, how you doing? Thank you for making it today. Indeed. So what about this one? The ALU. Few people got this one wrong last time. What do we think? ALU. Does it maths? Does it control signals? Is it stores data, or is it holding specific data? Hayden has come straight in with A for this. Does it need maths or logic? Is the ALU a register? That's what a few of you got wrong last time. In fact, Hayden is absolutely spot on. Abdal, that's cheating. That's all the answers. Zora, hi Zora, how you doing? A, Yusuf, A. Yeah, you're all A-ing. You're all absolutely spot on. That is exactly what it is. So let's go on to the next one. I've got a new bass sound. Very exciting today. What about this one? What does the MAR store? So the MAR stores the of data which is being either sent to or fetched from RAM. What do we think? What is the answer for there? A for Abdel. Very, very cunning. What do we think? Oh, look at Dom in again. You are absolutely nailing it. It so is the address, and that's how you remember this, because the MAR is the memory address register. Hayden, you nailed it as well. Luca, you nailed it. Yeah, addresses, absolutely. And don't forget, the MDR is for memory data register, so that's half of them. Yeah, Dom's very quick today. You'll struggle to keep up with her. She is on it. What about this one? Select the registers. So which of these? Is it A, B, C, D, and E? People often get one or two of these confused. What do we think? Is it A, B, C? It'll be more than one. So what do we think is the answer here? I don't want to do more than 5 minutes of quizzing. There's an awful lot to get through today. So Hayden has gone for D and E. Zora, A, D, E. Luca, D, E. There's a bit of a theme coming out here. Dom, A, D, E. Shall we see? Let's do it. So this one was indeed, it was B, ADE, because the ALU, so let's have a look. Haroon had ADE. Yeah, lots got this wrong last time, right? It's the ALU is the arithmetic logic unit, so it's not a register. The ALU does the maths. Zainab, how you doing? Thanks for coming. What does ADE mean? I don't know. I've got no idea. I don't know what ADE is. What are you talking about? So there we are. So ALU, arithmetic logic unit, ACC accumulator, CU control unit, again it's not a register, the ACC is, MDR and MAR both registers. This bit is, I can tell Sanuka, quality skills there. So yeah, I mean he lost us all there briefly. I don't know where Yusuf was, in a different time zone somewhere. So don't forget which are the bits, which are the which bits do something, which are the sort of devices within it, if you like, and which are the registers. So that's the takeaway there. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at casting, iteration, procedures, and selection, which is maybe slightly adventurous, but let's get into it. So first of all, some key terms that I thought you might benefit from using. Obviously, I'll send you this PDF afterwards. Couple of things here that I think you may not have, you may not remember, and that's that an array is a list. I'm not going to be covering arrays today, but we need to look at those before the exam. Then we've got this one down here, bottom right. We haven't played with this bit yet, but this is when you take in a string and you muck around with it and you find out how long the string is, or that you can go and take the second, third, and fifth letter. Yeah, it could be that, Hayden. We've got concatenation, easy for me to say, concatenation, which is joining strings to value, joining strings together, and then initialization, which is making the value of a variable 0. So something useful there in case you want to have a look at those key terms, which you do need to know. Let's have a look at casting. Casting is actually really simple. Lots of you said that you didn't know how to do it. Here's some examples of casting, and casting really means converting a variable from one data type to another. So for example, if you've taken in an integer, you can convert it into a different variable type. So look at what happens here. You see 302. Let me get my exciting rectangle here. Oh no, I'll go for an arrow, even more exciting. You see that 302, and we've got the speech marks there. Let's just get rid of that. These speech marks here, right? That means that it turns it into a string. Yeah, I'm quite conflicted about the whole thing, I've got to say, Sanuka. I am quite conflicted about the entire game, but let's not go there. These speech marks mean that it's a string, but you can convert it, if you so desire, into an integer, right? So that's what you can do, and that's how you do it. You simply use the int. The same thing down here. This float converts it to 2. So this one here. Let's go for highlighting it so we can see it. Can you see that this is saved as a string because it's got these speech marks there? And if you want to convert it into a float here, that's how you would do it. And the same for the bottom one, which this is a string 44. So that's taking an integer and converting it into a string. So that's something that you need to understand, but it's really quite straightforward. But the fact is, it's converting it into a different data type. That's really the takeaway from casting. All right, I'm going to push on. Yeah, do you know what? I think it will be England, to be honest with you, because they've just got better players, haven't they? Unless Bale and Ramsey play out of their skins today. Let's get it done. So this is the sort of the data on what I've been telling you. So that is that's how you do it. So obviously all you're doing is int, float, real, string, and then you're sticking the name of the string beneath it, or the integer name. Okay, so that's all you've got to do. Hopefully that should be quite straightforward. Changing the data type of data. That's what you're doing there. Let's get on to this is what we're going to try and cover today. We've got selection, we've got iteration, and we've got 3 flavors of iteration and 2 of selection. So for selection, we have got the if, then else, and then we've got case select switch. Really, as long as you can recognize case select switch, you could use either one in the exam. And I'll talk in a bit about why you'd use one rather than the other. If you've got lots and lots and lots of different options. Case select's probably better. If you've got fewer options, then an if clause is probably better. Then we've got the iteration here. And first of all, we've got the while loop. And then we've got the do until loop. They both do the same thing, but the while loop checks the condition before the code runs. And the do loop checks the condition after the code runs. To be honest with you, again, when you come to writing code for the sake of the GCSE, you can use either, it doesn't matter. But you need to recognize them. And then the last one to worry about is the count controlled loop. So in the question, keep an ear out for when they say so-and-so has to happen 10 times, 15 times, 5 times, 4 times. And then you're going to use for an I, the I stands for iteration. For iteration 0 to how many times you're going to do it. But don't forget, 0 to 4 means it's going to happen 5 times because the 0 counts as the first one. Got it? So that's it. So for 0 to 10, do this and then tell it what it needs to do. And then next I. And then it keeps going round and round and round. And in fact, for 0 to 10, that'll happen 11 times. 11 times. So that is selection, which I don't think has ever been covered, iteration in such speed. So the if statement in a bit more detail. This is what it looks like. This is what you need to go away and learn. If ... then, and then you've got the else if. Why have I stuck the else if in brackets? Only to remind you that you're only going to use the else if there are more than 2 conditions. So if it's this or that, if this happens, else this happens, just use the else. But if you've got more options to add, then you're going to use the else if. My advice to you is either use Python or another high-level code, or use Noisy Dog, or use pseudocode. Don't start mixing within the same question because you might lose marks. You might not, but don't do it. So only use the else if you need to. Obviously elif if you're going to use Python, and then don't forget they're looking for the if and the end if. So that is your selection, which is really quite straightforward. Okay, so now we've got casting and changing. We've done that one. Let's go on to here. Why am I going backwards? I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. Did that one, tick, and then we're going on to if statements, done that. Yeah, okay. So in pseudocode, if the condition is X, then do something, else if, do something else do something else, and don't forget the end if at the end. I mean, I think you're all quite comfortable with these. This is entry equals input. This is the same thing except with a real bit of pseudocode. And don't forget that in this one, they're always looking for the equals versus the double equals. Have you realized that the equals is to set the value of something? And have you realized that the double equals is to say that it's the same as when you're comparing 2 sides of a condition? Okay. Right, that is, where are we time-wise? 43, I need to get a move on. So the other version of this is case select, and it looks a lot like this. If you ever want a quiet life, don't get a border terrier. They're just insane animals. So this is what it looks like. Switch, case, default. The default is like the else, that it catches all the... They just don't stop, Luca. They just don't stop. It's like they've got Duracell batteries inside them. They're just relentless. So you've got switch, and then you've got... oh, if I brought the dog in here, it would just be a nightmare. It'd be running into the cables. It's in the other room. I've locked it out. Switch, case, default, end switch. The switch and the end switch, that starts the whole block of code off. This ends the block of code off. These are your different cases in here. And your default, that is the catch all at the end, usually to catch an error, like else. Okay? So no, I can't because I've actually got, it's too complex. I will show you the dog next time, but not now. It's going to be too much hassle. All right, so that is the case select, and that's what it looks like. This one, by the way, I've just pinched from the spec. That's what it looks like. In the case of A, print that. In the case of B, print that. And the default is print error. You've made a mistake. You have to forgive me. I'll show you the dog next time. Here's when you'd use it. To be honest, guys, you needn't worry too much about this because in any instance they give you, I personally would just use if. And then at least you can recognize the case select. And if they ask you to use it, you've got it there, okay? Case select is good for a large number of options. It's easier to read, it's easier to spot mistakes, it's easier to write, really. But it's not so good when you're comparing strings. Use an if for comparing strings, or when Your options don't have constant values. Use an if in that case. But you can use either. It is a border terrier. Border terrier. No, border. They're bigger than Yorkshire. They're as yappy, but slightly. I've had a Yorkshire Terrier before. They are really annoying. They think they're Great Danes. They think they're Alsatians, and they think they're huge, but they're only about this big. They're tiny. Mohammed, how are you, dear boy? Thanks for coming, and thanks for you, one or fourer. That's a good name, that is. Right, okay, input, output. I put this on there just to remind you, how long, 15 minutes. I put this on there just to remind you for the 300 billion, no, not balder terrier. That would work quite well, wouldn't it? I think there is a terrier that's bald, but I thought that would be a bit insulting for myself. So we've got input, and that second one here, let's just go like this one here. You are going to use this in every exam that you do, in every paper too, okay? This will get asked. Do you know how to take something in from the user? And of course, the simpler version is just this input here, okay? So that's that one. Then we've got the outputs, which are here. I will be covering in more detail the array stuff, but the outputs, you're going to do print to print on screen. And that, by the way, I did that in honour of you, Zora. I hope you appreciate it. We've got print my array. Notice how the place in the array 3, 4 is separated by brackets. And I wanted to point this out to you. Let me get rid of this for a second. I cast your attention, ladies and gentlemen, to this here. You see when it says 3, that means 3 cells down. So down first and then across. And that's how you would read it from an array, which is a word that I find quite hard to say. And options build significantly. Right, that's that one. Let's get rid of you and you and go on to, I hope that makes sense with the array, how you read them. Constructs, next thing. Constructs are a fancy way of talking about this. Well, the selections of constructs shows this. This is iteration. We've got 3 types of loops, the while, the do, and the for. So in simple terms, the while loop, condition checked at the start, but you don't know how many times it needs to loop. The do, condition checked at the end, and you don't know how long it'll take to loop. And the for is the counting loop. So for I equals 0 to 10, do this, and then it gets next I, and it keeps going round and round and round and round and round. So those are the key takeaways there. How are we doing time-wise? I'm doing quite well here, actually. So the while end while loop, let's get into this one. It looks a little bit like this. I was thinking for ages of a sort of an example in real life of this. It would be a bit like checking the traffic before you cross the road. See? So that's the idea of a while loop. So you'd basically say, oh, I've been teaching you guys for too long, the word basically slipping in there. While X is going on, do this, and then end while, okay? Sketch the graphs of y equals sin for 0. Let me think. No. You guys are all over the maths. Maths tomorrow, isn't it? So that is your while loop. Let's have a look at the next one. How are we doing? Sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your lives. 2-hour, 5-minute exam today. That is big time. I could see all your happy faces as I left you in Southall. Oh, protractor. I wouldn't know how to use a protractor. It's been a long time since I had to deal with protractors, compasses, set squares, all of that malarkey. Ooh. One of the best things about finishing school is you haven't got to do it again. You won't fail maths. Just the annoying thing is you've got to spend longer doing the stuff you find harder. That's the reality with it. Right, so while entry, blah, 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 can you see on this one, the thing to draw your attention to is this. This is something very often used. Do you remember that, that pseudocode question with the voting where you had to either enter A, B or C, yeah? That one. And then it said if at any point someone enters end, so while the input was not equal to end, run the loop, and then it will run if you type end. That's quite confusing because you've got that not equal to. Exactly, not equal to A. So, and don't forget that the exclamation mark means not equal to. I think in maths you use the, what is it in maths? I can't remember. Oh, it's the equal sign with a cross through it, isn't it? That's what it is in math, or it was when I was doing it anyway. So that is that one. Time-wise, where are we? Need to rush. Iteration. And lastly, we've got do until. And you know, I've put a big load of these. Yeah, equals with. Oh, it equals a line through it. Yeah. Do until. Let's do the do until one. I was going to say to you, I've put a big wad of all of the algorithm past papers on what's it called, Google Classroom for you. So have a look at those. Yeah. That is correct. Yeah. Okay, so do X until Y condition met. Now, me writing condition met is just me trying to explain what's happening here. Obviously, it doesn't appear in the code, but the condition is checked at the end. Again, took me ages to think of a real life example, but think about an eBay auction where they will set the, they don't lock the sale, what's it called? The reserve value. So, you know, you can bid on something, but then there's a reserve value that's put in. So the item can't be sold until the reserve value is met. So that might help you to figure what sort of a question it is you're trying to answer. But at least now you've got the tools. But don't forget that you need to use the exact wording there. And it's do something until, and that's it. That's all you've got to do, okay? That is that one. All right. For 2, next loop. This is the count controlled one. So this is the for I equals ding dong to what's it. So here we go. Here's the example. For I equals 0 to 9, we'll for I equals 0 to 9 print Bing. We'll do the following thing. It will print Bing 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I hope those 10 Bings were as annoying as they sounded at this end. So that's what it does. Don't forget the 0 counts as the first one. So they will ask you, they'll either ask you to recognize that's what it does, ask you to come up with a code, or in paper 2 section B, make you write something that's got a count controlled loop in it. And you'll know it's a count controlled loop because they'll say exactly how many times it's got to repeat. So kind of, can you see how this is all actually quite straightforward, because you've only got selection, iteration, and then sort of the two different types of iteration when you know how many times it'll happen and when you don't. And that's pretty much all you've got to worry about. Some string manipulation, and then we are sorted. 52, 8 minutes till kickoff. So let's push on. 4-2 next. Oh, yeah, this one. Okay, this one's going to be new to you, but it's not that tricky. This is a count-controlled loop, but can you see it has this here? And you all being genii, what is very clever, can you see how doing step 2, can you figure out what this one does? Well, I've given you the answer, to be fair, but does that make sense to you? So that is going to count from 2 to 10, inclusive of 2, in steps of 2. Happy? That's all that one is. So that's what the step part means there. All right. Procedures. Yeah, okay. I've just about got time for this. They run sequences of programs. You would use a procedure to save writing the same block of code again. Yes, you've got it. It does it in 2s. Absolutely spot on. Geong Bun. Welcome. Yeah. Okay, so the difference between a procedure and a function is that a procedure does not return a value to the main program. It will return a value, but the point is that value won't be used again in... Oh, hello, Rukshan, how are you? That value won't be used again in the program. So it might produce an outcome, it might print something on screen, but it's not going to get fed back into the main program. So that's why you've got a difference between a function and a procedure. And to be honest with you, there's only one line of code, or a couple of lines of code, that actually makes them, that differentiates them. But that's the way that it works in programming. I'm going to do procedures. Yeah, I've got time to do procedures and functions. So procedure, it looks a little bit like this. So the anatomy of a procedure is as follows. You've got the word procedure, and you've got the word end procedure. He says, sound like a primary school teacher. That means you're starting and stopping your procedure. And then, having done that, we have then got the name of the procedure. So that one has to be called subname. It can be called whatever you like. And then we've got the parameters. And I talked to my class a bit today about parameters. Parameters is a fancy name for the data that you feed into it. So it could be in the form of a variable, which is most likely, or a value of some kind anyway. But they're called parameters, right? If you've got more than one, you put commas between them. If you're feeding in 2 or 3 or 4, you just separate those by commas. So this is what they need you to understand. And then guess what? In here, you write the code that you need to happen, okay? Oh, I talked about parameters there. So that is your procedure. Functions. I will get this done. World Cup after this. I'll probably get arrested. Well, it's on BBC, isn't it? It's quite an exciting game with Senegal going through. The Uruguayans were sobbing on the field. There was one guy who was crying his eyes out, which was quite funny. So functions. Run a sequence of instructions. The only difference between them is that the function returns a value to the main program. And that's a cheap and easy question for them to stick in the exam, and they love it. So they often ask, what's the difference between a function and procedure? So that is your answer just there. So this is the function name. And I think I explained this very patronizingly to you guys today. And it works this way. First of all, you write the word function, and at the end you write the word end function. And it is word, not words, right? Then after you've done that, you've got the name of the function. Then you've got the parameters that you feed in here. And then you've got your code, which goes there. And that is you done with functions. It could not be simpler. Here is an example of a function, which I annoyingly haven't indented, and I should have done. They'll take a mark off for that. But it's quite clear. So we've got function half number. So we've started it by using the word function. And we've ended it by using the word end function down here. Then we've got the name of the function here. This is the parameter. This is the variable we're feeding into it. Then we've got the maths, the processing here, which is you're taking half and you're chopping it and you're dividing it by 2. And then you return half back to the main program. That return is often worth a mark because that demonstrates you understand it's getting returned back to the main program. There we go. That is your function. Here's a function example. Oh, I could have put that on there. That was all the stuff I was talking through. The commas are important, right? They need to be separated by commas. They're likely to mark that wrong if you don't do it. If you don't do end function. Oh, I did indent this one. If you don't do end function, then it's not a function. If you don't put in the name of it, then it can't be called. So all of that sort of stuff, right? That is your function just there. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, right, I've made it to here. I'm not going to do a quiz time today. I will save this for the end. So dry your tears. I wish you farewell, and we can go and watch the football now. So I hope you all have a lovely evening, and I will see you all later on. I don't really know who to support here, so come on, England and Wales. Does that sound reasonable? That's the plan. Guys, have a lovely evening. I'll see you later.